So there's a simple metric that we usually use when we're talking about PlayStation's position in the industry. Number one, we know that from them, which is pretty much their own source, that they've pretty much been leapfrogged in the gaming scene. We also know from them that their pillars are dated and behind the competition. And if anybody knows one of PlayStation's pillars, one that I've been talking about a long time, is their third-party exclusivity money hatting, which pretty much allows for them, or had allowed for them, to be able to lock games that are not theirs, that they didn't pay for production costs in many cases, that I know of anyways, and keep it on their ecosystem. However, the developers, Square Enix, Pearl Abyss, Koei Tecmo, and even Ilphonic are now proving that these devs want to make more money, so they want to go elsewhere. It kind of also went in hand when you think about how Xbox diversified and beat its console limitations by going on PC day one, getting a subscription service that has pretty much the best offering. And it put Sony in a position where they concluded that Sony's pillars are already dated and behind the competition. Someone told me that, I'm making stuff up, and I said, you cannot find a better assessment of this than from Sony themselves, because at this point, they're not hyping, say, themselves, they're actually talking about their reality. So with all this being said and seeing the way the market and industry is shifting, I've constantly said that PlayStation needs to take its game day and date to PC. This is a way for them to, PlayStation need to be more aggressive on the PC platform because they're already day and date. With their live service games, it's guaranteed it needs PC. With their single player games, it's also going that way, that it also needs PC, simply because of one major data set that comes out every single year. When you look through the number of players that are constantly playing video games on the PlayStation platform, spending more time, let's go to Circana, where Mr. Matt Piscatella is still posting a lot of data. You'll notice that on the list of games that are being paid fully, the games that exist there for the most part are sports games and, our live service games. Once in a while, when they bring out a new game, you're going to see it show up, like Astrobot showed up, God of War Ragnarok showed up in terms of sales. However, when you look at, say, the players that are actually sitting and playing these games, Matt Piscatella usually drops the numbers of, I can't remember exactly how he puts it. It's like the monthly active users in terms of continuity and what games that they're playing. You'll notice that Call of Duty is usually on the number one spot every given time. So if you want to follow him on LinkedIn, you can do so. You can see pretty much his profile, and you can look at the data set. I'm going ahead to show all of this again because I saw a comment from an audience member I thought was actually very interesting. So shout out to you. I think your username is Joviable or something. You said you just talked about why they need to be aggressive and you haven't proved why. Well, I don't even need to talk. I just need to basically cite Hiroki Totoki's statements, which I did in the video. But my fellow PlayStation fans, you're not really interested in actually thinking about this stuff. You want to react emotionally because I'm going to read your comments and it's going to be really strange. I read it before. So I'm going to read to the audience so that they can see if I'm going crazy or if I'm actually making an assessment based on what I'm seeing. They said, why should they bring their games to, their games day one to PC? They already do. They've answered the question for you already. You see, this is exactly what you're asking. And I make these videos, and sometimes I have to catch myself because I feel like I'm making them, but most folk aren't listening in a sense. You're asking me why they should do something that they're already doing without proving it. I don't have to prove it anymore. I mean, we showed possible, hypothetical scenarios months ago before we saw the ad for Lego Horizon Adventures coming to PC Day 1 and Until Dawn remake. And they said, I don't get you sometimes, mate. Bringing their games they want to PC will be the end of PlayStation. My dude, they already have games day and date on PC. They have all kinds. They have remake, they have single player game, they have live service games. It's all there. You don't need rocket science to think about this. I don't. Why would I want to play on PS when I can play on PC day one? Bro, many console players continue to constantly tell me how they will not go to PC, including some PC gamers who have great PCs, will game sometimes on PC, but refuse to actually go ahead and make it their main platform. If a platform is strong based on what it offers, people will play on it regardless. That is a proven fact. It's not about saying, oh, what exclusives can I get or whatever, because these exclusives are all in quote. Besides, name one PlayStation exclusive from PlayStation Studios that flopped in the last 10 years. I'm waiting. How does this have to actually be a metric for you to pretty much see it? when Call of Duty and the live service games are dominating PlayStation's platform, and they obviously need another player base to buy their games because 70% is greater than 30% on a loss, what they call a loss leader, which I call basically a subsidized hardware where they're taking losses on and have to hope that people buy, software to be able to make up the losses that they're gaining from their hardware. You just saw that recently a huge percentage of the people buying the PlayStation 5s are buying the digital edition. And if you go back and look at Matt Humphrey's report from 21, he talked about the $499 PlayStation 5 no longer selling at a loss. But in that particular article, he talked about how the digital edition of the the digital edition of the PS5, $399 edition, was still selling at a loss, which is what a lot of players are buying because it's cheaper. Just because they bring their games on PC does not mean that they're running at a loss, mate. They don't need to sit there and wait to run at a loss. You don't understand. Growth is at the helm of a lot of companies. This is why, the people that are running PlayStation, this is why they've already basically cornered and backdoored the fans. The fans think like this because they've made you and programmed you to think like this. It's called foresight. Foresight, that's what Xbox has. That's literally foresight. I mean, this kind of foresight where your own opposition will come back and say, we've been slapped. We've been dominated. Greater dominance. That's foresight. I think that's probably one thing that I'm looking at, and I'm seeing that PlayStation knows what to do. They're implementing it, but they're very slow. Spider-Man 2 is coming early because they already made their profit. They broke even, and they've sold probably anywhere from 5 to 6 million more. Yes, the game has been profitable, but every other game that came to PC came later. If this is your point, then God of War Ragnarok probably should have come earlier once it made profit too, because it sold more than Spider-Man 2, but it still maintained a 2-year window. So again, I just can stop here and we can end the video, because if this is what you're going to lead with, then I have to say that, you're basically pursuing PlayStation's moves. They're in front of you because you wanted to use that metric. We know God of War Ragnarok sold 15 million copies and it hit that number way back. Spider-Man 2 did not sell up to that, and it's coming to PC earlier. What's the reason? What's the point? These are very pertinent questions that you must ask. Aha. Don't compare Xbox to PlayStation. I'm not. PlayStation is comparing Xbox to PlayStation. You see, again, y'all will say this stuff like PlayStation is like this, immutable or invincible entity. No, they're just like everybody else. I've spent the last 3 months pretty much showing it, but we're still going to get this. Again, they said besides, Microsoft entered into the PC business because they were scared console gaming, particularly PlayStation, will destroy PC gaming. So if this is the metric that you use for Microsoft, then what metric are you using for PlayStation coming to PC? Because if PlayStation was comfortable there, they would never have needed to come to PC all the way back, a few years ago. They would have maintained their Nintendo status. So you see what you're doing. When Xbox does it, it's because they're in a bad place financially, but PlayStation, they're all right. They just want to just bring it to PC. Let's use a little bit of logic here. Come on. He says this, do your research, mate. My dude, this talk about research, I think we've seen many holes in your argument all here. They said this, and this is a way to basically, ad hominem, to try to discredit you. They said, you said Marvel Spider-Man 2 was a bad game, and yet you use it for your video. I said the story was bad. I said there were missed opportunities using MJ where they could have used Silver Sable or Yuri or Black Cat. I said some of the story issues were bad. And also, if I didn't play the game and I said it was bad, that would make me a bumbling fool, wouldn't it? And then you would come and say, you didn't play Spider-Man 2. How did you know it was bad? I didn't say it was bad, but at least if I did say some elements were bad, how would I know if I didn't play it? This is where we have a little issue with some of our mates here on the PlayStation side, making arguments from an emotional perspective. You don't even know that you're trying to pretty much do an ad hominem, which is pretty much a personal attack, when your argument pretty much doesn't have any weight to it. And so you respond from an emotional perspective, and thereby you basically intellectually shoot yourself in the foot. Don't do it. Look at the evidence in front of you. This is the way we're going to move forward. All this so-called talk about PlayStation, like they're, even Nintendo, I don't even hold them in that regard. I still see them as a regular company that their own countdown in order for them to basically adjust to the market is getting closer and closer than ever. Simple. So again, if you say I need proof, I think you might maybe want to update, say, looking at the PlayStation Steam page. There's an entire Steam page. It's for all PlayStation games that are here. All you got to do is go to it and see all the games and see what's going on. The remakes no longer have any hold. I mean, think about it. The Last of Us Part 1. They're shifting this thing very in front of you, and I'm showing you. You said do your research. I'm right here. The Last of Us Part 1, when it came as a remake, when its remake was being done and adjusted for the PS5, it didn't show up on PC day one. I don't know if everybody forgot. Why are we pretending like we already forgot? No, right here in our faces. But then now we've seen two remakes. Sorry, one remake, Until Dawn, and we saw a remaster basically day one on PC. They've shifted it. It's a small shift. It's so subtle. You're over here yelling at me to go find evidence, and the evidence has basically snuck past you. That's how good PlayStation is. I told you PlayStation is really good at optical illusions. Even their fan base sometimes don't even see when they're making moves. Like, they'll be making it right under their nose. They won't see it, but they'll be looking at everything Xbox is doing with, intense microscopic focus. This is why I make 500 videos a day. Shout out to the community. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.